Saw dudes, I've been playing around with Touch of Malice for a while since the buffs that it received. If you didn't know, it got some pretty hefty changes. We're looking at a 20% damage buff for the final round in PvE, 30% decreased self damage, the final round no longer kills us, and the blight being correctly coded as arc and being able to stun unstoppable champions. Despite being niche, Touch of Malice has some of the highest 1 mag DPS of all primary weapons at 16,194 according to Quantum DamageX. This Void Titan will be supplementing that insane damage with a second chance exotic gauntlets, which causes shield throw melees to weaken targets and be able to stun barrier champions. With the overshields provided by this build, firing the final round from Touch of Malice won't pose much of a threat. Without any more delay, let's get started. Ward of Dawn is the super I chose to go with because of the support capabilities that it has. Being inside the dome provides a 300 HP overshield, 50 handling and reload speed, and a 25% damage buff for 15 seconds after leaving. It can't be beat in endgame settings. Rally Barricade is going to be the best for this build since it provides a plethora of weapon stat bonuses like stability and flinch resistance and helps Touch of Malice feel a little bit easier to use. For this build we're going to use Shield Throw as it's the only melee that synergizes with Second Chance. At base, Shield Throw provides 15 overshield per hit and ricochets 3 times. Finally, the grenade will be Suppressor Grenade for crowd control and the ability to stun overload champions. Suppression effects prevent combatants from firing. Aspects for today's build are Bastion and Offensive Bulwark. Bastion causes super cast to grant allies within 15 meters of Void Overshield. Also, casting a barricade of any type generates a 45 HP Void Overshield for us and allies that are within 15 meters for 10 seconds. The barricade generates 10 Void Overshield per second for those standing behind it. Offensive Bulwark grants bonuses while a Void Overshield is active or while inside Ward of Dawn. When either criterion is met, we are granted 400% additional base grenade regen rate, 100% increased melee damage, and a 5.5 meter melee lunge range. Lastly, melee kills refresh 6 seconds of the overshield duration up to 20 seconds. The great flavored fragments are Echo of Expulsion, Harvest, Persistence, and Starvation. Expulsion makes void ability kills cause enemies to explode, dealing damage in a 7 meter radius. Harvest makes kills on weakened enemies create an orb of power. Persistence causes void buffs like our overshield and Devour to last about 40% longer. Finally, Starvation causes orb or void breach pickups to grant Devour for 5 seconds. If you don't like Echo of Expulsion, you can sub it out for Echo of Provision, which causes grenade damage to grant melee energy. Now let's go over Thanos' birthday suit. On the helmet, I use Kinetic Siphon, Special Ammo Finder, and Special Ammo Scout. The Special Ammo Finder and Scout can be swapped for their heavy variants if needed. For the second chance, I went with Firepower, Momentum Transfer, and Bolstering Detonation. With Thanos' t-shirt, I equipped Charged Up and 2 variable resistance mods. On the Greaves, I chose to go with 2 copies of Kinetic Weapon Surge and Insulation, and on the Mark was Outreach, Time Dilation, and Reaper. This build lives and dies by our barricades since they provide overshields to us. As such, you'll need to invest in 100 resilience and then put the rest of your points into discipline and strength. Let's move on to the weapon loadout section. Since this build only uses Touch of Malice in the kinetic slot, I'll only explain what it does in the first weapon loadout. Please use timestamps as needed. Weapon loadout 1 uses Touch of Malice, Father's Sins, and Retrofit Escapade. Touch of Malice has a mechanic which causes the final round to deal 120% increased damage at the cost of 7 health per shot. The round is refilled to 1 after firing, and the self damage is not lethal. There's also a Blight Launcher mode that is unlocked after landing 10 precision shots. After it's readied, holding the reload button activates the mode, causing the next shot to release a large arc blight that blinds and poisons enemies hit. This blight causes enemies hit to receive 50% more damage from touch, as well as Thorn, Necrochasm, and Osteostriga. Finally, killing enemies fills an internal counter that begins health regen and restores 75 HP and is essentially unrelenting. Now let's get to the other stuff. Father's Sins plays into the long-range playstyle due to it being a sniper. It can be crafted with Shoot to Loot and Focus Fury, which opens up a nice loop. Should orbs be created near targets that are too dangerous to approach, you can shoot them to activate Devour and heal back to full health, while also gaining barricade energy due to insulation. Focus Fury is a great damage perk to have and rounds out DPS cycles. Retrofit Escapade is a solid DPS weapon and can be crafted with 4 times the charm and target lock. When behind a rally barricade, it handles like a dream. Weapon Loadout 2 uses either Iterative Loop or Path of Least Resistance and Hothead. Iterative Loop can be crafted with Lead from Gold and Volt Shot. Lead from Gold offers amazing ammo economy, and Volt Shot can be applied to bosses for additional DPS. Otherwise, it can be an alternative to stun overload champions. Path of Least Resistance offers a similar style of play to Father's Sins and can be crafted with Shoot to Loot and Volt Shot. The high ammo capacity of Trace Rifles makes Path of Least Resistance a prime candidate for Shoot to Loot. If you're not into Volt Shot and would rather make this gun a major shredder, consider using One for All, which is very easy and ammo efficient to activate. Hothead is a great rocket launcher. There are a lot of roles you can consider, but the one I have been using for ages has Field Prep and Explosive Light. Field Prep increases the reserve ammo, and Explosive Light increases impact and explosion damage by 25%. Weapon Loadout 3 uses the Eremite and my most meat-ridden rocket launcher, Apex Predator. The Airmite will not be used as a healing machine this time around. Instead, we are turning it into a special DPS monster. High impact fusions hold the highest total damage out of any archetype, and the Envious Assassin and Controlled Burst combo takes this to the next level. Envious Assassin circumvents the need to reload, assuming that you are killing enemies with other weapons, and Controlled Burst increases damage by 20% and reduces charge time by 10% when every shot in the burst hits a target. This roll can tear through champions and makes the weapon much easier to use. Apex Predator is crafted with Reconstruction and Bait and Switch. It does big damage, and I keep recommending it because it's good. Please don't come after me. Let's go over the game loop before ending the video. Start encounters by laying down a rally barricade and getting kills with Touch of Malice. The overshields provided by the barricade will negate some of the self-damage that the final round will inflict, so consistent fire is much safer. When orbs are created, collect them normally or use Shoot to Loot to activate Devour and get kinetic weapon surge ×2. Use grenades and shield throw melees to thin out crowds. As much as possible, try to keep the overshield active. Having it active regens grenades faster, and causing grenade damage refunds melee energy due to momentum transfer. Use your super when necessary, grab those Infinity Stones, and rinse and repeat. I hope you guys like the bootleg Thanos build. I really wanted to get a Touch of Malice build out, and I think that it will be a weapon that will pick up a lot of traction soon. Thank you all for watching, and happy farming.